This is the Simpit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pitstop, where you are the real star of today's show, because we're here to talk sim racing news. And without your thoughts, your opinions, your conversation on the sim racing topics, it just wouldn't be nearly as cool or as fun for me, that's for sure. So, and I also want to thank you and say you're the star of the show, because a good handful of the topics today actually came from you, the viewers, emailing me at Sean, S-H-A-U-N, at thesimpit.com. And I love your help, and you are a great part of the pit crew, and another reason why the daily news is so much fun to do. So your guys' conversation and your help along with getting stories. So we have a lot to cover for December 1st, 2017. We close in on the end of the year 2017 in sim racing, and you can see the image here for the pit stop in today's news, and the big story is that image, which we're going to come back to at the end. So yes, I'm going to be the typical teaser that I am, and we're going to cover all the other news, and we'll come back to that very topic right there, and we'll get back to that topic right there. So let's move on to today's news real quick. Forza, so PC users of Forza need to grab the new NVIDIA drivers, and they actually made a correction because they originally said 338.43 when it's really 388.43. Anyway, but if you are playing Forza on the PC or you're planning on getting back into it, you're definitely going to want to get the latest NVIDIA drivers just to take advantage of what's going on. They do have 3 new cars in the sim, and they have their specialty dealer. So there's the Rolls-Royce Dawn, the Range Rover Supercharged, and the 2009 Mini Cooper John Cooper Works. So, if you haven't, you might want to get that NVIDIA update no matter what, chances are, for any game you play nowadays, and that's part of keeping your sim running on the cutting edge. Next up from iRacing. We've talked about it, we've seen it, and I'm not talking Global Rallycross, we're talking animated pit crews coming in the next build to iRacing. So this next build, they do their builds every, I guess it's really 13 weeks. I was going to say every 12 weeks. I guess it's every 13 weeks. Or on the 13th week, they do their build. So right here, we're watching their animated pit crews. And this is something that has been much needed by iRacing when it just comes to the graphical and the fun factor and even the realism side of the sim. And they've always had great pit stops in iRacing, big part of iRacing. But now having animated pit crews is going to take that to a whole new level. Next up, Assetto Corsa. Again, they're having another console multiplayer issue. This came out yesterday. But just if you've been trying to do multiplayer on Assetto Corsa on the consoles, we're back to issues again. So they are working on it. We know they thought they had it resolved. I don't know if it's a new issue or an old issue coming back to haunt them, but it is in the works and they're acknowledging it. So if you've been having problems, don't be too frustrated. The guys at Assetto Corsa are on it. RFactor 2. It's not just the Formula E car and the competition that's coming out, but they also just did what they're calling their road updates. And this is sort of them telling you what's going on with the sim. And if you're watching over RFactor 2 like I am, watching as more and more content, more and more mods, more and more enhancements, DirectX 11, triple screens, now they're talking about all the various different VRs that they are accommodating. But if you're following it, this is a good way to stay up on what RFactor is doing. And if you go to their Twitter feed, you can find the link to their roadmap, and you can read all about all the changes coming in the latest version of RFactor 2. Sector 3 Studios, we just talked about the new car pack and the big changes coming into Raceroom, and that's all being implemented. So 7 hours ago, they were down for maintenance. Don't know if it's back up, but they're getting maintenance work, clearing the leaderboards, adding updated cars, all that kind of stuff. So, look at this. All the sims we just talked about, big updates coming to all of them. Big changes. So, the paint competition was a while ago, actually. That was on RFactor 2. We talked about this on the news a while back. So, AJ, you might want to check that out. That's at the RFactor 2 Twitter feed. And I can't remember the dates. I don't see the date for the competition? December 8th. So there is still time to get in. If you want to paint up one of the new GT3 cars for RFactor 2, you can win some Fanatec gear. So we did cover that in the past, but I don't mind going back for you and catching you up on things. And again, that's part of you guys being here, being part of the pit crew, and making sure we talk about and you know, really cover all of sim racing in great detail. We talked about the McLaren wheel for Fanatec, and they have a cool video on YouTube. I don't know when this came out, but I saw the post on their Twitter feed this morning, and it's showing off the features. We talked about them, but the analog extra 2 paddles, the rocker switch shifters, and the mode switch, which changes features. I mean, this literally has features in it that you don't have in other Fanatec wheels, and that's pretty cool, and something I'll try to get my hands on. Ooh, Allen key tool. Right there, stored right inside. Very interesting. Looks like... Oh, did you see that? I had heard about this, but it's the first I'm seeing, and because I'd only heard, I didn't report it. There's the Clamshell Quick-Release. Why do you need the Allen wrench? To pull off the back and put on the aluminum Quick-Release, the proper Quick-Release. So, this means that the wheel at that price we saw, which I believe was $159, if I'm not mistaken, which makes sense for the clamshell version. Don't know what that quick release is going to cost, but that at least puts it in to the ballpark of the wheels that are more club sport based, we'll call it. And I mean, honestly, I prefer it also just on the even on the CSL wheel, because it's a stronger grip. And the other thing from Fanatec, and this is an interesting idea, and we're a day late on it, or at least day one's already happened. They're calling it their Advent calendar. So if you know the Christmas holiday and that particular religion has a calendar you can get, I remember seeing them as a kid, and you'd open up each date and inside would be a token, a prize, a gift, in some cases just chocolate. But what they're doing is an auction, and each day they're picking a new item, and each day that item will go up for auction. And so yesterday, this looks like a Club Sport base, 2.5 with a BMW wheel rim. And in the case of yesterday, the winner, don't have a name of the winner, paid €426 instead of €849.90, which is basically a 50% discount. They're doing it by auction. If you go to the Fanatec website and then go to the community section is where you're going to find the Fanatec blog. It is the first post on that. If you are looking for Fanatec gear over the next 23 days until Christmas, you are going to be able to get a good discount, and you're going to have to do it in a bid fashion. So it will be interesting. I don't know what today's item is or tomorrow's item will be. And I don't know what the going price or how you even enter it. But if you're looking to upgrade your equipment, you want to get a deal, this might be a cool, fun way to actually accomplish that goal. Next up, I'm going to thank the man, who's often in the chat with us, for giving me the next group of stories, which they're not directly sim racing per se, but they are cool stories. So I want to thank him for sending these to me. But Monster Energy Supercross game, the official video game released, the trailer. So, motorcycles, we've talked about it, and are they a worthy sim? They're kind of interesting to sim. I can't imagine playing this like a sim. I'm guessing it's going to be a very good controller-based game. But Supercross is awesome. I mean, hitting doubles, triples, you know, super banked corners, the acceleration of motocross. I think this will make for a very fun game. And I'm guessing we're talking arcade, probably not even simcade if I had to guess. But that's something we can look forward to, and something out there in the news, and you can find that at the xboxhub.com. Next story. This has nothing to do with sim racing. Electronic Arts loses $3 billion after Battlefronts Backlash. So the game came out. It had all sorts of problems, all sorts of issues, all sorts of lawsuits and loot box legal problems. And in the end, EA took a $3.1 billion shareholder drop. So I say this for two reasons. Number one, the consequences of a game that you haven't thought everything through, especially in this litigious world that we're in today. Number two, If you're an investor, and I'm not giving stock advice, but I'd check where their stock is. I mean, if you believe in electronic arts, you believe in gaming in general, they're down 8.5%, which could mean they're a good investment. I'm not advising such a thing. I'm just saying, hey, it's sort of a potential investment opportunity. This is sort of like them taking a hit for one issue, but they are one of the leaders in the gaming industry, so there's no doubt they'll bounce back. Again, not giving any stock advice. And the other thing I'm going to say is, I saw certain comments of people thrilled that this had happened to EA, and it just kind of makes me think, when I was younger, EA was sort of the masters of the sports games, and their old line, EA, it's in the game, and my brother and I used to chant that as we buy the next football, baseball, soccer, whatever, hockey game to play, and we really always appreciated EA for that. And then we sort of joked and clowned on them several generations later of certain games and said, EA, it's really lame. And I'm not trying to slander them in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, you know, EA went down in my eyes, and maybe I don't defend or appreciate. You know, they were the biggest, I almost swore or said something profane, but they're the biggest blocker of the Porsche license for many, many years. And if you think of the real course of other games, they've been in the way of sim racing before a few times. And anyway, I'm not trying to wreak havoc, and I'm sure they're going to bounce back, but interesting story. Another thing, and I'm not sure if I've mentioned this on the show, but it's a conversation I've had, and I remember a while ago, maybe 10 months ago, reading a story that certain colleges were actually thinking of doing gaming scholarships. And with the growth of the esport world, that they were going to start tapping into that. I mean, in modern day in America, college sports is a not a franchise. It's a money-making cash cow. And you can make the argument the sports programs are even getting in the way of proper education on the collegiate level. And if you need any proof of that, well, I don't see how gaming has anything to do with college sports as much as I love gaming. And I don't see where education gets into the ranks of money-making events. But Trine University plans to build esports into its plans. This story, again, came from The Man. It's on ESPN.com. But apparently this is going to happen. Gaming is going to be something. We talk about professional ranks of sim racing, whatever. We already know the professional ranks of gaming exist, and now we're talking about a scholarship path, just like becoming a pro sports player, which is very, very interesting. So, anyway, cool story. I appreciate that. Next up, another topic that I talk about with John Hill in the chat here all the time, and this is at roadandtrack.com, and I haven't read the whole article, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Can racing survive the 21st century? There's so many things. Me and John have this conversation all the time. What's going to happen to racing in the next 10, 20, 30 years? And to us, to an extent, it is going to either have to change form or really somehow find younger viewers, which is a challenge in this new world we're in. Hybrid cars are the way of the future. I don't think it'll be long before we don't see gas-powered cars for sale at the dealerships. Self-driving cars. When I was 14, the only thing on my mind for 2 solid years was getting my driver's license. That's not the same as it used to be. It's not the same for kids today. Getting their license is not the #1 priority of the day, which means cars are not as important, which then means racing might not be as important. So, what are they doing? Formula E, we know this is a big move trying to stay fresh. Look at the affiliations between racing and sim racing, trying to tap into our crowd, say, hey, look, this is a good avenue to be a great super fan. So, this is a question that maybe we can even talk about in greater detail on its own, because I think it's going to be something that will have an impact on all of us in our near futures. So, great story there. Check it out yourself at Road and Track. Thank you, The Man, for that story. Alibaba betting on long-term gain from esports investment. Alibaba is like a Chinese buy anything you can imagine out of China at Alibaba. They're the number one. They're like the Amazon of China. And they are putting money into esports, and they're even taking a loss on it, because they, again, like those college teams, like the colleges, they see the profits, they see the market share, they see the importance of having that crowd, the millennial crowd, the gaming crowd. I don't even know. Millennial is a terrible word. I shouldn't use that. The gaming crowd, because it's a wide variety of people. Yes, thank you, AJ. I left that out, and I did read that. You can only make one bid, so it's sort of a blind auction, which is even cooler. Anyway, that's the end of the Alibaba story, and thank you for those news items, the man. Next up, DES Simulation is a reseller of various different products. They do represent and sell Husingveld products as well, including the handbrake. So they have a little promo, 10% off. Just thought I'd mention it. Don't know how their prices compare to buying it directly from Husingveld, or who may or may not have stock of the item. So if you're looking for an incredible handbrake at a 10% discount, you can find it there and they're doing this just again because the global rallycross is coming. We're all going to want our e-brakes. I got mine right here ready to go. So that is one more thing. And that takes us to our final story of the day. And this was sent to me by at least 10 of you sent me an email. So thank all of you for sending it and bringing it to my attention. And believe it or not, and this is why I need you, and you being part of the pit crew is such an essential part of the pit stop, I might have missed this story. I very well could have not seen this story, and it is hands down the biggest news that I can think of in sim racing by a long shot. So this promo has been all over the place, and somehow I hadn't seen it thanks to you guys. I mean, thanks to me, but thanks to you guys, or I would never have seen it. And it's called Feel VR, which is a very confusing friggin' name. Excuse my friggin' there, but I don't understand why you'd throw the word VR into a steering wheel in the age of VR. But anyway, this is a steering wheel. They're calling it a direct drive wheel. And direct drive is a loosely used word at this point. It depends on your interpretation of the word direct drive. To me, direct drive is literally a motor, a shaft, and a wheel. And the minute you put a gearbox, a belt drive, or any kind of secondary mechanism in between that, then I would say it is not really a direct drive wheel by our definition of direct drive. We can't see in the case, so we don't know for sure. Some people have observed there's a amazing similarity in shape and size to a Thrustmaster. I see interchangeable wheels. We have a Formula style. We have a round wheel. Early bird. So from what I've told, not been told, but so when I try to get information, I subscribed and I left an email saying I'm interested in the product, and I've contacted them on Facebook, and AJ might have a line for me on these guys. So thank you, AJ, and thank you for everybody. But looks like they're going to do a crowdfunding type thing. They just haven't launched yet. And you're going to be able to basically put in $333 and get one of the early bird specials. Or we heard $777, I believe is what you said, AJ. We can't, I'm not going to confirm that. That's what I've heard. We'll try to get more official information on power, actual drive mechanism, release date, actual retail price, all that kind of stuff. They also have a set of load cell pedals, which look amazing for $99. So at the early bird special, $333 is an amazing deal. That's like T300 pricing. And if it really is direct drive, or even in the ballpark of an upper end wheel, which at $777 puts it up into that grouping. So they do have a whole combo package. They're saying for only $388, which would get you basically everything. So this is a big story, and I'm not going to try to read too much into it other than what we can see at face value. I don't want to speculate on anything. I don't know anything about this company. I don't know anything about their drive mechanism or anything about it other than what we've seen. So what you see and know, I see and know. But this is a big deal. This could be a wolf in sheep's clothing, and this could be a dressed up pig. And I'm not going to read too much into either version. I don't know. But it looks interesting. It looks like everybody, Thrustmaster, Fanatec, and even the OSW wheels now have somebody else they're going to have to contend with. This could be, for all I know, the guys behind SciTech coming back into the market again. I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll find out more, and we'll let you know as soon as we can find out more. Any thoughts you have, please share them in the comments. We'll all stick around and probably chat a little bit about some of this stuff. We do, again, technical spec, direct drive, infinite rotation, precise sensor, overheat safeguard, wheel, 180 millimeter. That's height. Wheel, 12 kilograms, weighs 26 pounds, so it's pretty heavy. That is a bulky wheel at 26 pounds. I don't know what all's included in that weight, though. I will do everything I can. I've contacted them in several ways. AJ might have a line. Any of you have a line. Let's make sure we get it here on the Simpit as soon as possible. Start with some great details and then move on to hopefully doing a full-blown review. So that is going to do it for the show. The last thing I'm going to do real quick is promote tonight's event. We were there last night. I had an interesting night running from the back, giving you guys a little insight on how I attack a race when I'm not necessarily prepared. It was kind of a cool show in that respect. Tonight, I'm going to get a lot more aggressive, but we'll be running race number 2 of week 2 in the Battle of the Beamers series on Sim Racing Systems. That's at 6 p.m. this evening, while I'll be broadcasting the race from my perspective of the race. So please tune in later and watch it. Even better than that, get in and join us at Sim Racing Systems. This is the second race of week number 2 in a 4-week season, so plenty of fun to be had, and it's really about fun. We have a 24/7 server, so you can get help from others, get out there and see how you stand, and I hope you'll join us either for the stream or, better yet, the race. That's going to do it for today. Thank you for being here. That is it for the week, and that is the beginning of December 2017. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.